welcome. Why don't you? I would love it if you could introduce yourself to our teachers who are listening who
Okay,
don't know you yet. Tell
sure.
us, tell us where you're located and kind of the setup you have for your studio as it is right now.
Okay. Well, my name is Michelle Miller, and I am located in Edmonton, Alberta, in Canada. So kind of north in Canada, and today is quite a cool day. It feels like fall is here. I have what I call a hybrid studio. So I have a lot of online students, but I have in-person students. And in addition to that, my in-person students can choose to attend online or in-person week to week as they need. So I have my studio set up so that pretty much Zoom is pretty much almost running, I think, every day, all day, because there's usually someone who will join in from home,
Okay.
even though they're locally. So, yeah,
And you teach group classes
I do.
mostly. Do you still do private lesson one-on-one as well for your more advanced?
I do. I do some private lesson exactly for my more advanced students. I think, though, I only have about 10 private students
Okay.
this year, and I have about 60 group students. So that's where I'm
Wow.
sitting at right now.
So, group lessons is a way for piano teachers to really increase their income without increasing their time. And really grouping students together, you're having them pay, they're still paying a monthly lesson, a monthly fee, but because they're with other students, your time commitment is only for that time slot every week. And have you found, I'm just so curious because I know teachers hear about group lessons, they might be nervous. We have several TMO members who are launching group lessons this semester, so this year. And I would just love to hear from someone who's seasoned with online group classes. What have been some of the benefits for you personally, but also for the students for being in a group?
Oh, for sure. Well, for me, of course, it means that I can have a bit more of a work-life balance because I can
Yeah.
condense my teaching hours by having them together. For the students, they become quite a little group of friends. Like even though it's online, they look forward to seeing each other each week, seeing me. There's definitely that. Sense that they encourage each other. I don't want to say there's competition. There isn't really. But I mean, they do see that other students are working along, with them, doing the same things that they are there. So they don't feel alone. They inspire each other. So if
Hmm.
one, and I do find if one student is really, enjoying a piece that maybe other students weren't enjoying, them seeing that student successful with it kind of inspires them to give it another go, and just give it a little more effort than maybe they would if they were just working on their own.
Right. Yes, that makes sense. If they know they're going to see their peers in that group and they can see someone else perform the piece that was potentially hard for them or that they ignored, or it gives them a little more motivation. Are they staying within the same set of songs each week? Like, how do you move them through a curriculum?
Right. Especially with my younger students, we work together on the same pieces each week. And I'll give some optional challenge pieces for those that want more that they can do. But we'll work on for sure a core set of skills and a core set of pieces together.
That is such a great idea to have a kind of a bonus set of more challenging pieces, maybe from a separate book or a separate method, so that your go-getters, they still have something to motivate them. Because I can imagine you have students who learn quickly because they're probably practicing more than others or they're fast learners and they can still be challenged. Are you communicating lessons through Google Drive or are you still using Tonara? What works best for you?
I'm still using Tanara. Yeah, Google Drive works great too,
Yeah.
for sure. And it is kind of my backup because I do have some families who, they don't, maybe they don't have a really easy time using Tanara. It doesn't feel very organic for them, or it's just not,
Hmm.
they just have a tough time with it. So I always have a backup of the homework sheets, and I usually do little tutorial videos that they can watch during the week if they need help with a piece. So I have those both in Google Drive, but then I post them into Tanara as well. And then Tanara is nice because we can have a little group chat. We can just add in recordings. It's a really nice way to kind of check in during the week.
Oh, that's awesome. How are you doing most of your advertising? Or is it word of mouth
I
or
I
both?
would say I would say it is word of mouth locally. A lot of my advertising online, I think, comes from my website. I get a considerable amount of just emails from my website contact page.
Are you set up in Google with reviews directing to your website? Okay, that's probably where a lot of them are coming from. So, because you have reviews, if people are Googling for a piano teacher in your area, you are coming up, and reviews are like the absolute best thing for a
Right.
studio.
Yes.
Oh, that's so great. So they come to your website, they contact you, and I've had this question come up, and well, we have this question come up all the time. So I feel like it's worth talking about. How do you choose what to charge for group lessons compared to in person? Because a lot of people have this argument. I mean, I've even heard it compared to like, well, I'll divide an hour of my time into five because there are five students there, and that's what I'll charge. And I'm like, no. Like, I mean, logically, I can understand why you might think that way, but we aren't charging per hour. We're charging to be a part of your studio and what you're running, right? So, how do you kind of figure out that math?
Absolutely. Okay, yes, I am very passionate about this subject actually.
Good.
Because I love teaching group, and I love sharing that with other teachers, and I think, you know, everyone should try it. It's so energizing. It's so fun. But it actually honestly takes a little bit more planning of, you know, than one-on-one lessons. One-on-one lessons I find are pretty relaxed. You know, we work together, and we kind of just take it each lesson at a time. And though you do a bit of planning for sure with your curriculum, I feel like a little more needs to be done for groups. So
Right.
I tell teachers, whatever your 30-minute private lesson rate is, then you should charge a percentage of that. Now I got to do the math again because so for instance, I like if my 30-minute private lesson fee is $130, my 1 hour group lesson would be $130. So a month. That's what I would do. I would do the same for an hour of group as I would for a half hour private.
Perfect.
And then if I'm only doing 45-minute group, it would be 75% of that $130.
Do you have some groups that are shorter?
I do. Yes.
Okay.
I actually have some 30-minute groups.
You
And then
do? That
actually
is so short. That's so
it's
fast.
so short. Those are my out school groups. And
Oh,
I do keep them pretty short on there. And time does fly. But
okay.
they are for the really young ones. And so I find that's
Yep.
enough time to give them at least one or two short pieces kind of to
Yeah.
work to do some games, to do some listening, to hear what they have worked on. And
Hmm.
the class keeps moving and is active. And so I find for that age, that online lesson, I like to keep it nice and short.
Okay. Perfect. So, I mean, to repeat what you just said,
Mhm.
if you're charging 130 for half hour, usually 4 half hour lessons a month or for a month of half
Right.
hour lessons, then you charge the same amount for weekly hour long group classes. You charge 75% if it's a 45-minute lesson or half. Is that what you would do for half hour? Okay.
Yeah.
That's really easy math to do because it comes up a lot. And I wanted to hear from you because you're doing this actively.
Right.
You've been doing it and it's working. People aren't I'm assuming people aren't like questioning you on that.
Not at all. Not at all. I know there were times that I was charging quite a bit less for group a few years ago, and then I started. I wanted to bring it up to match my private 30-minute rate, and
Hmm.
I was so nervous and I was so worried that people would say, "Wow, this is a lot for group lessons," but nobody has said anything.
Yes. Okay. Well, that's awesome. It's really encouraging for people to hear that. And I mean, to be fair, you really are giving them twice as long
Hmm.
every week. So the value is there if you are charging that same amount. And there are so many added benefits. I feel like from a student perspective, they are getting the full Michelle and
Right.
the full lesson every week because it's kind of like being propelled when you're with a group and you're following a method versus going at the student's pace where they may or may not have progressed each week, and
Absolutely.
the teacher has to kind of meet the student where they are versus the student meeting the group, right?
Yes. Yeah, it's true. Often the students in the groups, it's like accelerated learning. Yes, that I find in the one-on-one, it can really slow down. We can have, quite a few non-practice weeks in a row, and where we keep working on the same thing. So
Oh my
I
gosh,
think that
yes.
groups do can move students along quite more quickly. I do find that students who stay in the groups, they do often move along a lot more quickly than the private lessons, but for a few of my very, very dedicated private students who,
Sure.
yeah, are real self-starters.
Yes, who do really great and prefer that.
Mhm.
So I'm curious, are you at capacity? How are you growing? What are you working on in your business right now? Like, what's the next level? Or are you content with where you are?
Right. Okay. So I would say for the lessons that I teach on a week-to-week basis, I am at capacity. During 2020, when I first started out school and that 20 to 21 year, I was teaching around just under 100 students a week. It really exploded, and but it just wasn't sustainable for me. I know there are a lot of teachers out there who teach like 100 students or some of them even more per week, but for me and my family life, I found that
Yeah.
it wasn't conducive to my energy level or my wanting to have a bit of work life balance. So where I am with students that I'm teaching is, I think, at capacity. Now,
Okay.
one thing that I did do was that I had such a demand for my beginning classes, and I can't keep up with that. I can't keep adding more beginners until more of my older students graduate out or decide they're
Yep.
finished. So I created some online courses or flex classes that were pre-recorded, that I put together in sort of semester blocks. And so I put those on OutSchool, and then I'm working to put them on another site that is more independent. That's allowed
Wow.
me to, well, for instance, this summer I feel like I've really been going since COVID hit. So I wanted
Mhm.
to take the entire summer to be off with my family. My son went away to military university last year, so I knew he'd only have 6 months, or 6 months, 6 weeks home with us in the summer, and I just wanted to focus on that and just enjoy my summer. But having the online courses allowed me to bring in a little bit of income over the summer,
Yes.
having to.
You've mentioned this before that you launched this on OutSchool and it's
Mhm.
done fairly well. Do
Yeah.
you think because of your OutSchool profile and teaching lessons, is it connected to that, or was this kind of a separate course area? Like tell us kind of how the OutSchool how it's set up.
It is connected to that. So on OutSchool,
Okay.
I have a profile. So I have a profile that is part of their website. It works as a website link.
Hmm.
Much that you would say you had WordPress and then slash your name. It's Outschool slash Teacher Michelle. And so, yeah, it was the demand for those classes was so heavy. I couldn't keep up with them. So I created what they call flex class versions of
Okay.
those beginner classes. And I pop them in there. So then they show up in my profile as a live class or as the flex class, which is the online
Wow.
class. Yeah.
Okay. And is that the same as your digital course? It's called a
Yes.
flex class. Okay. And that's basically, is it 2 semesters worth, like the first year of lessons?
I have built it up now so that I have 5 semesters worth.
Really?
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
is so cool.
And I've had
So,
quite a
so
few
cool.
students continue through those 5
Wow.
courses so
And are
far.
you communicating back and forth with them at all? Do they comment below the video or how does
Yes.
that work?
Yes, that's exactly what they do. And they can comment, they can link a video, they can voice record. So in Outschool, it's a little bit like Tanara, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
It's got those options. And they can, it's kind of their, if they registered for the course that started that day and other students did as well, it's almost like a little classroom, right? So like a little chat room. So they can
Oh,
leave
cool.
videos and I can even pop in and leave some video feedback or just type in some feedback or record a little message. So
Wow.
yeah, it makes it a little interactive that way. But not a lot of effort on my part, like just talk.
Okay, so Michelle, the next level for you is you need to start put these in Podia and or Teachable. Podia would be like amazing. Have you looked into
Okay.
that?
I looked into Teachable, but I haven't
Okay.
looked into Podia, so maybe I'll check that.
So I'm torn between the two. Teachable is also really, really great. I like Podia's interface better, and they have community kind of built in, and I really like their course interface. I know several teachers who've launched music courses on Podia, and I've checked them all out. And so but I've hosted courses on Teachable. Teachable is a little more basic, so it kind of depends on the look you want, but I could totally see you bringing this into Podia, and then when you're building a wait list of your beginner students, this is where you're sending them until you have
Right.
openings, right?
Right. Yes.
And
Yes.
then you wouldn't be losing out on that outschool. Is it like, what's the percentage that outschool takes?
That's the thing. Outschool does take 30%.
Yeah, that's what I
So,
thought.
yeah, it takes a good chunk.
30%.
Yeah.
Okay. And are you charging? I'm asking all the business questions because I know teachers want these too. Are you charging for your digital, your recorded courses? What percentage of what they would charge for a normal semester? Or is it comparable?
Um, Now I haven't worked out the math on that. Yeah, yeah. I think I have been giving them like because I wasn't sure how well they would do when they started. I started out at I think I started out honestly at $70 US for the 10 week.
Okay. So for like a semester worth
Yeah. Yeah.
ish.
And
Okay.
because I thought it's all pre-recorded, it's
Hmm.
all done for me. So I started at that and then I have brought it up I think to now 100 US. So that
Okay.
is $10 per week of
Hmm.
assignments. So, but
Okay.
that's been something honestly that I've been playing around with and kind of wondering,
Yeah.
it's
I'm
hard
wondering
to
if you
price
brought it
that.
into Podia, if your pitch is we're not losing out on value, right? Because they're still getting Michelle lessons. They're pre-recorded, but sometimes pre-recorded is even better because it's like your best content. That's
Yeah,
always my argument for teachers is like, don't downplay the fact that your best self is recorded and available at any time, like
true.
on demand. So you could figure out some percentage, but I would look at like what that would cost them in person and maybe do like it's 50%, but that would still
Right.
be maybe it's $275 for the semester instead of $600
Right.
or something like that.
Yes. Yes.
That's exciting.
Yeah, so that's been good. Now, one other thing that I'm looking at, I haven't decided yet. Uh, but I'm starting to look into just I can't teach as many classes on Outschool anymore either as I could. So I did the flex classes. But I like keeping it going. And
Hmm.
like we said, they do take big percentage. So it definitely wouldn't be um, my meat and potatoes like place
Yeah.
to like I
Yeah.
wouldn't want to put all my eggs in that basket. But
Yeah.
another teacher who was on there, she told me that like with the classes that I have that have been so popular and as well as the flex classes, that I should look into becoming an organization on Outschool and then hiring teachers to teach the live classes for me.
Interesting. So she does that in her school?
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, so that's the
Wow.
thing. Yeah, so she thinks that would might be a really good fit for the types of classes that I have. So,
Especially because you can't keep up with the demand. I feel like
right.
that's when you grow your business when you can't meet the demand, and that would
Yeah.
be really, really neat. I could even imagine you working with students you've trained,
Right.
students that know your method and
Yeah.
everything that want to earn a little income. That would be really
Yeah.
cool.
I think it would. It's something that I never thought of. Well, my husband has always been like, oh, you need to get a studio, you need to hire teachers. But I love the flexibility of teaching online. I love
Yeah.
teaching out of my home. I don't have to worry about a lease. It's a great commute. It's awesome. So I kind of have always thought, no, I don't want to have a big music studio. It's just not for me. It's so great for so many teachers, and I know quite a few teachers who do it so well. But for me, that wasn't where I wanted to go. But I thought, well, I could do that virtually, maybe on
Yes.
Outschool, and that I could see. That's kind of more along my vision, I think.
Oh, that is so cool. Very, very cool. I'm curious about retention in your studio and keeping students semester after semester, year after year. What do you what do you think contributes to that? Students wanting to come back. What are your things that you feel like help you maintain and be successful?
For sure. I think my big focus for my students is on community for sure and making music with others. And I think it's why I'm so passionate about groups. I think even for
Mm.
myself, like some of my best music memories are when I'm making music with others. Whether it's playing on worship team or playing with others for Christmas Eve services or just other events or functions. I love making music with other people. It's great to play on my own, but I think when you can feel like you're part of something, um, it keeps you coming back for more. And I think that's honestly what it is. It's not. It's a little bit me. I think that students come back for, but I think it's for their friends and just for the feeling that they get from making music with others. And we do try to build community through different practice events, through different challenges. And so whether they're in studio or online, I'll do sometimes quarterly sort of practice challenges, or we'll do something like Piano Olympics that'll last a certain amount of time, and we have these challenges to go through, and online students, they get to come back each week and share what they've done or post it in Tanara or the
Wow.
classroom or whatever. So just little things that help build community even more and make piano a little more fun for them. So
Yeah,
more.
it's you're giving them the same reasons they would might want to go back to an in-person school. Or like I'm thinking my daughter is starting at a charter hybrid this year where she just goes to school 1 day a week and we homeschool the other 4 days.
Right.
And already she's made friends and knows her teacher and has stories to share about them and little things like that where she feels this draw. Last year she was in a nature school and just that little bit of time building community and friendships. And there's no reason why music teachers cannot bring those elements in. But I think most teachers don't. The only time their students see each other is at those virtual recitals. And unless that's like their cousin or someone they know from school, they don't have any kind of connection.
Right.
So, maybe what are some things that they could do to start? You mentioned a few. Maybe what's one thing if they've never done any kind of community things in their studio?
Okay, I will tell you. The very first community thing that I did when COVID hit and everybody went virtual. So whether new students or old, we had a pajama party. I call it a pajama party masterclass, but it was basically just join on Zoom in your pajamas, and we played some music games. Anyone who did have something that they wanted to play, they could play. Um, I I think we watched a Piano Kai video by sharing the
Yeah.
screen. Yeah, just little things like that that get them together outside of a regular lesson. I mean, you can do it in if you have online groups, you can do it in that group too, and just have a special week. But
Hmm.
I like to combine a bunch of groups together so they get a chance to see other students. And then when we do have a virtual recital, it's lots of familiar faces. Oh, I remember that
Yeah.
person, and yeah. So, but yeah, lots of fun little things like that I've done with. I call them master classes,
Yeah.
and I'll just do different themes throughout the year that kind of get them all together.
Oh, that's great. And I think you're adding of Tanara and chat groups. People, students and parents are on devices so much that that's something that is familiar to them where they can see their friends or, I think Tanara has those stickers and like little things that they can share right there in the chat. Is that right?
It does. Yeah. Yeah. And some students love those stickers. I'll get 5 notifications from a student and think that they're desperate to like ask me a question or tell me something, and it's all stickers.
Oh my gosh. Sticker overload,
Yeah.
students. Oh, this is so fun. Well, I did want to ask, you've been in our community for a few years. You were one of our original teachers during the pandemic, and I would love to know how has the membership played a role in your business? And I know that's like a really big question. And
Right.
maybe it's something this year that you've been working through or working on, but how has it helped you either improve or get answers to questions when they've come up?
Right. Oh my goodness. If I could only count the ways. In fact, even just this week, it was like a lifesaver because you posted. I was just about to like desperately ask a question about OBS, and then you posted Sebastian's like OBS course, and it was like,
Yes.
and all that I had been trying to do to fix my Stream Deck and my OBS problem
Yes.
was solved in 5 minutes of watching.
Oh my gosh. So for those listening, we just launched a brand new course, OBS How To for Virtual Lessons. And I invited one of our members, Sebastian Gomez, who is just such a tech guy and a very well spoken, great at video. So I thought he is the perfect guy to help me with this course. And we just added it to the membership as just part of what you get access to. So that is really good to hear that it was such good timing for you.
It was great timing. I mean, I thought that I had OBS on lockdown. I've been using it for a couple years, and then just one of the updates caused something to not
Mm.
mesh, and I Googled it, and I YouTubed it, and I everything to try and fix it. And then the course came out, and I'm like, I'm gonna try the troubleshooting like area, and then boom,
Yes.
it was done.
Perfect.
Yeah, so it was great. But yeah, I think of like I I know before COVID hit, I had seen you getting ready to launch um, the video course, and then I thought, oh man, I would love to do that. I really would. It's been something I've been thinking about, and and at that time, I had allowed students who were sick or we
Hmm.
get bad, terrible snow days here. I allowed them to FaceTime into lesson if they needed to. So I'd already kind of, had an idea of like, things can work remotely. But then when you offered your course in March, I couldn't wait to do it. I'm like, okay, now I've got to, but I want to do better than just FaceTiming my students. And so, I might not have thought of using Zoom if I
Hmm.
hadn't tried your course. And I think COVID hit I took about a week to go through your course. I did it in a week. And by that time, I had Google set up for all my
Yeah.
students. I wasn't doing Tonara yet, but we had Google Drive and Google Drive folders. And it just, like, I felt so confident. When the pandemic hit, I thought, wow, am I going to be able to talk everyone into? I know that some will be,
Mm,
they'll have no problem joining online, but I feel like some might say, oh, well, let's just wait and see what happens. But after going through the course, it gave me the confidence to say, hey, this is what we're doing. So,
yeah.
and then that's when I had the idea, we'll just do a pajama Zoom party so I can kind of show them what it would be like.
Yeah.
And just all the benefits of being able to share screen or, interact. And so, yeah, it gave me the confidence. And then I love our community. Our community is, I think it is the most supportive community out there. I don't know. We have the best teachers in TMO.
We
They,
really do.
we really do. Like, you can post a question in some groups and it can be crickets. But when you post a question in our group, you will get so much help. It's just amazing. It's just an amazing group. I know as teachers, there are so many memberships out there.
Mm,
Um, and I yeah, and sometimes you have to choose.
right.
I was in quite a few memberships, and then I got my credit card bill, and I thought, I probably I should really take a look at my spending and but the value, like, this is one membership I think that the value is just incredible. You'll find answers to all your teaching questions in TMO. If you want to build a
Oh,
website, it's there. If
it's
you
there.
wanna, like, if you want to create an online course, a digital course, it's there. Like, and not only that, but you'll get so much support along the way. And so, yeah, I think I I'm really not a super tech teacher, but I kind of am now. Like, I've learned
You
so
are.
much, and I think of how my online teaching has changed even from those first few months of starting
Yes.
yeah, and
Wow, you really have embraced so much over time. I mean, with your tech alone, but also with the apps you incorporate and the screen sharing and being able to draw on I mean, all of the things that you do. I think we had a call with you specifically for like your process on how to do it with the iPad, and you have a rolly cart that you can
right,
move around. Like
right here.
it has, yes, and really, like, teachers listening, like, you don't have to do all of this work alone. And that is why everyone I interview says the community is, it's worth it for the community, because you're not isolated anymore. You're
Yeah,
not sitting at your piano like wheels spinning, like, I have to do this. I'm going to do this by myself. Like, you don't. And you can save years and a lot of frustrating hours reaching out to and getting help from people who've been there. And these aren't just like your teacher down the street. These are like doctorate of music teachers, teachers
yes,
who've been to Juilliard and Berkeley, and I mean, all over the world. And you have the combination of teaching hybrid and teaching group and teaching courses. I mean, the best of the best are there. And I feel like when teachers have that success, they want to give back. And that's why it's become this like thriving place, because you've reached out and had help from people, Michelle. And so you're available and have helped other people when they have questions about group.
yeah, absolutely, yeah.
It's been the best having you in our group. So thank you for sticking around.
Oh, I'm so happy to. I love every time I don't always get a chance to pop in and see, everything, but I love every time I pop in there and make a comment or see other people's comments or check out some of the new courses. I love it.
If teachers want to spy on you a little bit,
Yeah.
tell us your website and how to find you on social media.
Sure. Okay. Well, my website is mmmusicstudio.com. And I am on Instagram. It's Michelle Miller Music Studio, or my personal one is Michelle underscore makes underscore music. You can always friend request me on Facebook. I love friend requests. I am in the process of deciding whether to start my studio Facebook for the third time in 3 years because I've now lost it again.
Shoot.
But actually, I'm exploring. There is a way I understand to turn your personal into a little bit of business as well. So
Okay.
I might just
Well,
kind
let
of
us know how that goes because so
yeah,
far we recommend your page as the business and your
right.
personal, but
I know.
it can be kind of confusing when you really only use Facebook for business anyway. And so,
So
yeah,
yeah, we'll see. We'll see. But yeah, I definitely on Instagram and I am and that's my website. So
awesome. Well, thank you so much, Michelle. Appreciate you coming on.
oh, thank you, Carly. It's a pleasure and an honor.